There, the Weigh-In Podcast is back. After a week off, UFC heads to China. Early morning fights. We got UFC Macau, bantamweight headliner between Song Yadong, former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo. Ready to highlight our favorite spots, get back to doing business here. But man, can't skip the recapping from UFC Vegas 117. Best kind of night to recap here. Saw eye to eye on a lot of things. Both had a really good night. I hit all three, my underdog, my parlay piece, my best bet for the second week in a row. 2 for 3 on the straight picks, 2 wins and a push there on the props. I did hit my lone one parlay there. Finished up north of 6 units, man, 6.07 units. Felt like my reads were on point. It was kind of a card flying under the radar, but I mean, you mentioned it in the podcast how we felt real good about some of the reads. So happy to see him come through, looking to keep the ball rolling. Both of us started a little streak here, man. How'd you finish up?
Yeah, so I ended up plus 4.8 units myself, combined 10 units profit for the podcast. Like you said, we love touching back on this. Both of us 3 units deep on Arnold Allen. Ketlin Vieira came through as a dog. I put a little bit too much faith in Nikolai Veretinnikov, which I even knew, like, he makes dumb decisions, but dang it, dude. Like, it sucks that my night was kind of short by putting
Yeah.
2 units on Nikolai Veretinnikov. And then my best bet of the night was definitely the fight doesn't go the distance in the Arteline Polyana Vieira fight. Even though my girl didn't get the win, I did expect some violence, and she definitely, took it or delivered that. So moving on to the main event, we've already had some little pre-discussion on this, and I don't know. I think I'm going against the grain just a little bit. Song Yadong taking on Davison Figueiredo. Obviously, momentum point in the career where this fight is taking place in China. The UFC is setting up Song Yadong for a win in a main event slot against a former champion in Davison Figueiredo. I will admit, at this point in Figgy's career, he's kind of acted as a stepping stone for a lot of UFC talent and really hasn't lived up to his former self. But I think that this is a spot where we see a plus 455 on the former champion, and I think I have to place a unit on him. I'm just finding it difficult to see where Song Yadong is really going to separate himself in a fight to cover a minus 600 price tag. I think Song does everything really well. I think he has good counter wrestling. I think he has powerful striking, fast striking. I just don't think that he excels anywhere, which has kind of been his Achilles heel in his trajectory towards UFC gold. I don't think that he'll ever touch it because he just can't hit that championship level anywhere in his fight game. I look down at his career and see that, in the past 5 years, his only wins coming from pretty much retired Henry Cejudo, Chris Gutierrez, and Ricky Simone. All those fighters, I think Figgy really does the exact same, if not worse. So it's the upper echelon of guys that Song Yadong is losing to, like Sean O'Malley, Piotr Jan, Corey Sandhagen. The same deal with Figueiredo. It seems to me like even though Figgy is 38 years old, whenever they do match him up against a Montel Jackson or a Marlon Vera or a Cody Garbrandt or a Rob Font, these are the fights where he is, even at bantamweight, still doing enough to get the win. And it's only whenever he's fighting guys like Umar and Corey Sandhagen and Peter Yan where he's not able to showcase, that caliber of MMA skills at this point in his career. But Song Yadong, to me, this seems like a very close fight. And if we take away where this fight's going from, the age gap and I guess just like what I think the UFC is looking for, and we're matching these guys up skill for skill, I think this fight is much closer than what we're seeing on paper. So I am willing to lose a unit for the potential 4.5 unit comeback on Figgy.
Yeah, when the first thing that jumps off the page to me is a former champ sitting at plus 440, but being 39 at the end of the year, this not being the weight class that you held the belt in, I'm not as tempted as you. I don't want to, we're going to be clearly on opposite sides here. I think Song Yadong makes total sense as a big favorite for me. I think Figgy may still, maybe a moment, and potentially with just grappling. I think that's the part of bantamweight surprised me a little bit is his ability to get some of these guys down, but I don't think he's going to be successful in holding Song down. And I also don't think over 25 minutes his gas tank's going to really hold up the way it should. I feel like, like you kind of talked about how they're losing to the same guys and fighting the same guys. It's true, but like, Song is 2-2 with Sanhagen before the cut. Like he's taking clear rounds off Peter Yan, and these guys are just honestly steamrolling like Figgy. Like they're not competitive fights. He's getting finished. I feel like Song actually competes with these guys, and how we kind of talked about it previously before the podcast started. While those guys are A tier, I kind of feel like Davidson's like C tier, and Song's right there in the middle of the two. To me, Song just at this stage feels like the much better fighter with still potential, maybe not to hold the belt because of the division he's in, but just potential to still get better. Harder hitter, better striker. Despite Figgy being the ex flyweight, like I don't think he's going to have a big speed edge or anything here. Song's like the fastest bantamweight I've seen in a while. Physicality edge. As long as he can defensively keep this fight standing and avoid a guillotine, I think he's going to just piece Figgy up. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if he finds the finish here. I feel pretty good about Song getting his hand raised, and at the moment, got 3 units parlayed with him and my parlay leg we'll talk about later in the show. Co-main, taking big step up, light heavyweight, Meng Zhang taking on Alonzo Menifield. Meng Zhang's coming off a fight where he was not, set up in China as a big favorite to win and drop the ball. And Alonzo Menifield, a fight ago, was upsetting, Omar Sy as a big underdog. Makes it a little bit tempting to kind of eye the underdog here again. And I can't say that I'm super confident that the favorite's going to get this done. I think the favorite here in Meng Zhang is super finish or bust. And that it's probably in round 1, but at this stage in his career, being a decade younger, just faster, longer, probably more power, I do get why he's the favorite, but almost kind of like Malcolm Wellmaker when I was talking about him, if Zhang can't find the KO, there's not a lot to his game. He doesn't fight behind a jab. He doesn't have calf kicks. He's not going to offensively wrestle. His cardio is super questionable. We just found out he's got nothing off his back. He can't defend calf kicks. Like, I don't know, man. Zhang's just not really the guy for me. This guy at one point was a massive underdog to Tuco Tokos on, road to UFC. So, to see a massive favorite, not my kind of deal, man. If Alonzo, I feel like if he's going to stand a chance here, probably doesn't need to mess around on the feet just because he's at the athletic and speed disadvantage. I think he needs to go in here and try to land some of these takedowns, man. Draw the fight out, take the power out of Zhang, and I think the later this fight goes, it really starts to favor the underdog in my eyes. So what I think most likely is going to happen, we've seen Alonzo get KO'd in the first round multiple times, not have the best fight IQ. So I will not be shocked if he's KO'd in round 1 whatsoever. And that's going to keep me off the money line. But I feel like if he's still conscious after round 1, a live bet on Alonzo Menifield is how I'm going to be approaching this fight. How you see it?
Yeah, so you touched on a lot of the points that I agree with, but the only thing you didn't touch on is the mental fortitude of Meng Zhang. After he took that first leg kick, he showed that it affected him, and then it's like he just kind of gave up on himself. And that's something that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, especially moving forward. I kind of liken him a lot to Malcolm Wellmaker of last week, where he was just flash KOing these guys that he kind of built up this huge reputation. And then behind those flash KOs, there's not a lot of substance behind it. So, yeah, I mean, he's massive and he's fast. And I think that there is a lot of potential for him to come out here and cover his price tag or even more. But hopefully Alonzo Menifield kind of sees where he falls short in his fights. The big one that stands out to me is the fight against Carlos Olberg. He charges across the octagon, tries to rush the fight, and gets caught by the faster, more powerful fighter. And I feel like, if his coaches know anything about him, they're going to tell him to kind of take this easy, try and find the holes in Meng Zhang's game, because I do think that they will open up as the fight continues. So, yeah, like this is a spot for an Alonzo Menifield bet, in my opinion. Now, obviously, we're not talking more than a unit or anything. It's Alonzo Menifield, and he's 38 years old. Like, I get it, but maybe even a spot similar. We tried to bet. I'm blanking on his name. We bet on him by decision only last week.
Juan Diaz.
I think that this is a great decision only spot right here. If this goes 15 minutes and if we get the judges reading the scorecards, I think there's high potential that Alonzo Menifield is up on 2 of those rounds. So that's kind of a way that I'm looking at betting this fight, especially if we can still get plus money. Him sitting at plus 220, 210 right now, I think that we'd probably be looking at like plus 140 for decision only.
Yeah.
And I'd still take that. I think that there's value, meat on that bone for sure. So give me Alonzo Menifield in this fight. 2 dogs to start us off. I don't know. All right, moving on to my fight of the night. I will be going with Meng Deng versus Jose Henrique. This seems to be like a people's main event. I've heard some pretty convicting opinions on this fight, and for me, every time that I look at it, the more I look into it, the more I just don't know what's going to happen, which is why I got to make it my fight of the night. You know, Meng Deng opened as a massive favorite, minus 250, and he's since been kind of evened out to where we're almost getting a pick'em fight right here. Jose Henrique, 6'3", massive dude for the division, but a little sloppy. You know, he kind of the way that he fights is awkward, and I kind of liken it to Neil Magny, and maybe that's a little bit too much, but I just mean that the way that he comes in there, the shots that he hits you with, it's not something that you can really prepare for. But if there was somebody who was going to come into this fight as a UFC debutante and have the experience to deal with somebody as awkward and as long as Jose Henrique, I think it's somebody like Meng Deng, who has, 44 regional fights. So yeah, I mean, Meng Deng, I think the biggest thing working against him is he gets a little bit wild in his entries. He tries to close the distance with reckless abandon. And I think that Jose Henrique, the times that I've seen him clinch up, throw knees down the middle, hit guys with some weird stuff on the inside, I think that that's kind of how Meng Deng could get caught. But at the same time, closing that distance and not letting the length of Jose Henrique, like pepper him on the outside. I think that that's also a possible way that he kind of sets himself apart with this fight. I've seen Meng Deng shoot for takedowns more often. I've seen him time a few takedowns where if he can get Jose to the mat, I know Jose's a Brazilian, but Meng Deng just wants to hurt you. You can see that he has ill intent whenever he gets you on the ground. And I think that that's going to speak volumes on the judges' scorecards if it gets there, simply for just being in a dominant position and going for a finish. Yeah. And I think that that's going to be enough for him to get the win. So my pick is Meng Deng, but I think it's just going to be an awesome fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome fight too, man. I think that has potential to just be a slobber knocker, honestly. That one's going to be a good one. One of the higher level fights for me, man. I'm taking Alex Perez versus Mudaerji. I think outside the main event, this is your highest ranked matchup throughout the whole card. Classic striker versus grappler here. At least for me, I think it would probably serve Perez well to go back to the wrestling roots. But we've seen, Sue dominated from top position in the 4. His first level takedown defense, all right at times, but the guy's shown us time and time again that doesn't really have anything off his back, and I think that's a big edge for Alex Perez if he can get on top. I think there's a chance he could even find the sub here. Biggest issue, haven't really had to see Perez use his offensive wrestling a ton, at least at the highest level lately. We've seen him use his wrestling, but it's a lot on defense. When you look at his matchups and watch tape on him recently against Almabayev, Makayev, Tyra, Pantoja, it's a lot of him being the one fighting off these takedowns, doing the defensive grappling, whereas it's a completely different game plan here. He's going to be the one needing to close that distance and force the takedowns, and it's just not something that I've seen on tape him do since first couple fights in the UFC. So if the game plan's there, I think he could, in hindsight, cover this price tag, but I think it could also be difficult, man, because Sue's got a long frame. He's learned to fight well behind it. He's got a big edge on the feet, big footwork advantage. He's got the big cage on Saturday as well. Then you throw in the fact that, he's not got the travel, that he's in his home country. Man, when I look at Sue Mudaerji, I'll never forget one of the first bets we cashed for the podcast was him knocking out Malcolm Gordon, plus money TKO there. But, dude, is his best win 5'2" Jesus Aguilar? Sue Mudaerji's not beating anybody good, dude. And if he were to come through and beat Alex Perez, it is heads and shoulders his best win by far. And I personally, I can't shake the way he's been dominated on the mat and 6 sub losses. That's hard, man. So On the side of Alex Perez, a couple red flags. You got the weight issues, all the pullouts in the past, throwing the long travel over to China, fighting at a huge time difference. I think if it was in Vegas, I'd be a little bit more likely to pay Alex Perez, but I think where he's at and those red flags make it a bit trickier to lay the juice. But I don't know, man. I feel like again, if he's on top, he has potential to look the massive favorite. Whereas Sue's really got to play it safe for 15 minutes on the outside, and probably doesn't look more than like a minus 150. So I'm on the Alex Perez side ever so slightly. If some Chinese money comes in and Sue gets hit this week, maybe I find myself on Alex Perez. I just can't overlook that grappling, man, and the 6 sub losses. I feel like if he gets his positions, he could dominate. So, great fight, high level fight, flyweight division.
All right, so moving on to our underdog of the night. I'll be honest with you. I came in here thinking Jacqueline Amorium was my underdog. She is not an underdog right now, so I'm pivoting mid breakdown right here. You give me a 38-year-old against Angela Hill. I'm going to take Angela Hill, man. Angela Hill is coming in here against Jingnan Yang, who's made a career off of finishing women. I don't know how many times I've bet for Angela Hill to get finished and not cash that ticket. This is not going to happen again. So if I've got to pick an underdog here, and we've kind of already talked about that, I like the Figgy side. I like the Alonzo Minifield side. I'd probably be putting my next underdog money on Angela Hill simply because I think that she's fought the higher level of competition. Obviously, she is not in the best form at 41 years old, but she is great at making fights extremely close. And I think this girl in Xinjiang Zhang, still, this is a massive step up in competition after fighting one level caliber girls for the majority of her career. So, banking knockouts for your entire career and then coming into fighting Angela Hill is a recipe for disaster. So, give me Angela Hill at plus 160 right here just to make the fight close enough to win a split, maybe be on the right side of a split decision.
Yeah, so we did talk about the main event a bit before we started, but that was it. Underdog of the week for your boy, Angela Hill. I got her. Yeah, I got her bet at plus 205. I've got her tracked at plus 200. And I still think at plus 160, 165, it's a phenomenal bet, dude. Like, you're talking about reliable cardio, reliable pace, reliable volume, a resume that stands head and shoulders above this girl. And again, you touched on it, 38. Like, honestly, just a boxer with power, has no wrestling, dude, has nothing off her back. When I watched her last fight and won, I mean, she wins the fight because she wins round 3. But dude, she's dominated from top position for like the first 10 minutes of that fight. I think Angela Hill mixes in takedowns, wins this fight. To me, this is Denise Gomes, this is Luana Pinheiro all over again, dude. Like, Angela Hill at plus money is a good bet, much less north of plus 150. So, yeah, I understand that she's 41, so I don't know how much exposure I want, but I got half a unit at plus 200 to at least return me a unit. I think she's a solid ass bet this week.
As I was saying it, I could see it in your face that something was up. I was like, what's up with that? I was like, oh, I took your underdog. Yeah. I see now. Okay. What are we moving on to now? This is Parlay Piece. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of parlay pieces and not a lot that I absolutely love. If I'm making a parlay piece, it's probably going to be Cody Haddon here. I just think he's so much faster than Arichi Lang. I think he has the good enough counter wrestling, and we're seeing it in the price tag. He's minus. If you can get him under minus 400, I think that he's a pretty solid parlay piece, and I do think that he gets the dub here.
Yeah. Parlay piece for me, Jake Matthews, minus 300. Carlson Harris is straight up like sub or bust, and I mean, that's it, dude. Like, Jake Matthews is the far better fighter everywhere. Way better boxer on the inside, way better top wrestler. Like, the gas tank's night and day difference. I think the durability's night and day difference. Resume, he's younger, twice the experience. And Carlson Harris is having to make this trip over to China on short notice, where Jake is in Australia with far less travel on the full camp. Like, I think, dudes, he should be coming to whoop someone's ass after what he went through last time. You know, when you lost the dirtiest bet ever, losing his sub over Neil Magny. That's awful. I think dude's coming out here to prove a point, and I liked him over Muslim Salikov, and I think it's an even better matchup for him with Carlson Harrison taking on his short notice. So Jake Matthews, Song Yadong, it's like minus 175, minus 180. It's a 3-unit parlay for me this week. Who you got for your best bet?
I'm going to let you go ahead and go first. I just looked at your card, so let me not take this one if you would like to go first.
Well, you thought she was a dog. Jacqueline Amarim at Pick'ems is my best bet, dude. This is a buy low spot after dropping her last one against Mizuki, and Mizuki's a tough out, dude. Like, let's not forget when Amanda Lemos was knocking everybody out, and Mizuki took her to a decision, was pinning her up against the cage and shit. You know, like Mizuki's got way better takedown defense than Loma, and I think Loma's gonna struggle badly to keep the fight upright. She's so small, dude. Like, in this matchup, like, there's only one fighter that's going to look like a big favorite. There's only one fighter that has clear finish upside to me, and it's all on Amarim's side. Her grappling is, like, next level. And even if she doesn't find that early sub, I think she can find easy top minutes here. So I love this bounce back spot. I think Pick'em's a must play here. And I was actually just about to mention it to you. She was Pick'em when we started the podcast, and she's now minus 120 on the same book that I was just looking at. So I think she's getting hit for all the same reasons I like her too this week. And I think she opened a massive favorite. People have been hitting Loma. I really don't get it, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the girls that Loma had been fighting in the past. The UFC tried for the longest to give her favorable matchups, and they've just kind of run out of competition to give her. Now they've given her a grappler in her last one against Alexia Thayanara, and it just didn't work out well. Yeah. You know, that Jacqueline Amorium is the complete opposite of Elise Reed or Bruna Brazil. Like, this is just going to give her a lot more looks, especially on the ground. And I think that even though Loma's been in the UFC for half a decade now, she's still making so many mistakes in her grappling that I think Jacqueline will capitalize on one and eventually get the submission, which is kind of my best bet. But at the same time, I think I'm going to take the heavyweights under 1.5 at minus 160. I just think that there's no way in hell after watching Derek Lewis go out there and knock Taliesin out, kind of give the blueprint that this dude's got tall man defense. He is hittable, and Sergey just has to get back into his own ways. It's the only way that he's going to cover that price tag, because you get into a long, drawn-out battle against a 6'7" monster who I've seen, spar rounds with Alex Pereira now with those clips coming out. Like, he is quality, but I think that his striking defense really lacks when he's in the octagon with somebody his size that can reach that chin. It's just not going to work against somebody of Pavlovich's size. And I think that Pavlovich closes that distance. And shoot, honestly, it takes one shot from Taliesin the exact same way. So give me the under 1.5 at minus 160. I think it's kind of a favorable price tag. So I'll make that my best bet. I'm glad that we're both on Amorim, though.
Yeah, and that under is probably going to be on my card too. I love that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the same as the Ardeline Vieira fight. It's plus 150-ish range. Like, yeah, it's tough to pass up for sure.
Yep. Quick picks.
My thing's loading if you want to start us off.
Yeah. Loma looked booming. Jacqueline Amarim. Kind of know how we already feel about that one. Both of us on the Amarim side. And second fight, we got King Jig Zhu taking on Rodrigo Vera. Vera, dude, stepping in on short notice. And honestly, like, I don't think he's that good. When I was watching tape on him, like, I feel like he's got to land takedowns here. And when I was watching Zhu's road to the UFC fight, dude, he defended like 20-something plus takedowns in his last one. Like, it looked good. And he's got the way better striking, the way better power, and the line's crashing down his way. So it kind of seems like people are leaning the same way. Me, I'm on the King Jisoo side here, man.
I'm also on the King Jisoo side. I had heard that Rodrigo Vera entered the Ultimate Fighter and didn't finish. So I don't know if that was injury or loss. But
I was about to say that he had to have lost, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he was on this year's Ultimate Fighter, and now he's fighting and not in the finale. So
he's losing to regional scene bantamweights. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not pulling the best talent to go on the Ultimate Fighter. That's kind of like the last ditch effort for a lot of those guys. So
they feel comfortable enough flying him to China to take on a debuting guy. Yeah, I don't know. He must be pretty shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And a crazy record for being kind of shit.
All right.
All right, so Kang Ji Zhu as well. Angela Hill versus Jing Nan Zhang. I'm taking Angela Hill. Sounds like you're on the same boat.
Yep, Angela Hill for me.
Brick for a head.
Ray Tetsura, Luis Garule. Garule stepping in really quick after a win 2 weeks ago. And, to an extent, it's like his takedown defense is the best part of his game. But Ray Tetsura is just – he's got next-level wrestling and really good control. So I think I'm still on the Ray Tetsura side, but the over is only minus 166. That's calling my name, dude. Over 2.5. I don't see a finish here.
Dang. I'll probably lay off this fight altogether. I hope that this gives Gruel a contract extension, taking this fight on such short notice with such a quick turnaround. He just went 3 hard rounds. Like, I get that he won pretty definitively, but props to him for taking this fight. I'm also on the Ray Tetsura side. Arichi Long versus Cody Haddon. I think Cody's so much faster. I think he's going to really piece him up when the fight's on the feet and defend the takedowns when he needs to. So give me Cody Haddon here to cover his price tag.
Yeah, Cody Haddon, honestly, is just like the better fighter everywhere. But, you got a guy with 40 fights and a guy with 9 fights. It's always a bit tricky. I'm still on the Cody Haddon side, though. I probably won't be touching that fight. Meng Deng, Jose Henrique. I don't know, dude. I think both guys are probably going to hurt each other. This is one of those where, like, the under 2.5 is going to be lined like minus 150, and it's going to look like a great bet, but it's going to go over to the decision with both of them having knockdowns. Like, I don't know, dude. Jose Enrique's defense is just so poor that I could see Meng Deng cracking him. So I'm going to side with you. I'm going to go Meng Deng knockout or decision.
I don't say this next one with a lot of conviction. Really just looking at the line. Meng Deng as well. Yeah. I don't say this next one with a lot of conviction. Luis Felipe Diaz versus Yi Sakli. I'll take Felipe Diaz, but again, that's not with a lot of information backing that opinion.
I've been potentially trying to find a way to find Diaz on my card this week. Dude, Isak Lee, like, straight up just got submitted like 2 fights ago by 12-9, like, really low-level guy. And Luis Felipe Diaz's best part about his game is his ability to get the fight to the mat and submit you, and once he gets it there, he's so strong, and I think there's a big level difference there. Maybe I find something like submission prop or inside the distance to buy down some of the chalk, but I kind of feel like Felipe Diaz wins this one pretty easily. Main card, fight of the night for me, Alex Perez versus Mudaerji. I honestly think it's kind of a toss-up. I don't have the clearest read, but I think the only guy who could look like a big favorite would be Alex Perez with his top position, and probably even the only one with real finish upside, which would be Alex Perez sub. So I'm going to go Alex Perez here. Minus 140 might honestly look a little generous.
Yeah, I find myself on the same side. Minus 130 on Bet Online. I'm looking at it right now. It sounds good to me. Jake Matthews versus Carlston Harris. I think Jake Matthews looks to really solidify this one. Probably holds on a little bit too long if he gets a sub. Give me Jake Matthews.
Yeah, Jake Matthews, parlay piece of the week for me. Kayasakar, Cameron Smotherman. You hate to lay minus 300 on a guy who's not won a UFC fight, but he's back up to 135 where he was spending some time at Ryzen and things in the past. And I don't know, Cameron Smotherman's not going to grapple him. Smotherman's got a horrible chin. He's slower. He's not the better striker. So I don't know. I like this spot for Asakura. I don't know if I get behind him, but I honestly feel like he's going to win. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Yeah, I kind of figured that you would be all over Kai Sakura. I've seen you bet him a few times against far less competition. I thought you'd kind of pick him as your parlay piece this weekend, but Smotherman is kind of weird where sometimes he fights up to his level of competition. I'll be on the Kai Sakura side as well, probably laying off though. Sergey Pavlovich taking on Taliesin Teixeira. I'm on the Sergey Pavlovich side. Got him in the fantasy league. Hope he knocks him out first round.
Yeah, this is going to be one, where Taliesin is not used to some guy matching his reach. I think he's going to get in that range where he thinks he's safe, and that piston of a jab is going to set him down, dude. Sergey's jab is nuts. Sergey, round 1, under 1.5. I like that bet. Ming Yang Zhang, Alonzo Midfield, clearly dogger pass for me. If he's still there after round 1, I will probably be trying to get in live on Alonzo.
I think hard to go wrong with just Alonso by decision only. If he loses, I think he gets starched, and if he wins, I think it has to go to the judges' scorecard. So, well, I guess it doesn't have to. He could win by finish as well, but if it goes to the judges' scorecards, I'm favoring Alonso. So, yeah, give me the Minifield side as well, and then Song Yadong versus Davison Figueiredo. Yeah, I mean, gun to head, I'm picking Song Yadong. For the sake of this, I'm picking Figgy at plus 455.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
I hope I do prove you wrong because I got 3 units on it. But yeah, I got Song Yadong, man, and I kind of just feel like at 38, this is the part of the division that Figgy is just not going to be able to compete with, and I put Song Yadong up there. So I like him. I'm just not sold to finish decision. Don't really know. Fine with the money line. That's all the fights we got for UFC Macau going down at 3 a.m. in the morning for us here in the United States. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week for Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. Y'all take care.
Peace.